It's a Monday. We need to review the trading calendar for the week. Get prepared for some good trading. Once again, another fabulous time to be a foreign exchange trader. Yee-hoo! Let's get going. Good morning. Let me remind you that trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. So please always stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, you got sound. Yeah, all right, great. Well, my name is Wayne. I'm the Chief FX Market Strategist for TradersWay. We hope that by providing these educational seminars that one day you'll develop skills and confidence as your Forex broker. All right. Well, today is a Monday, and even though we got some nice technical analysis going on, we do have to plan for the week. Let's start with the calendar. This is, by the way, on Forex.Today, just under news, and highlight calendar. It automatically adjusts to your clock, so it's always in the right time zone. Not a lot going on today, which is good. It's that quiet time of the year. And then, being the third week of August, we have the Bank of Japan coming out, possibly saying something important. Yeah. Possibly saying something important and maybe getting our yens to move. So pay attention to midnight tonight if you're in New York. And then PMI. Who cares? Oh, what happened there? Okay. And then finally, the big news after Bank of Japan is what's going on in the UK. We're still very concerned about it. Brexit's impact. And we want to know how things are doing. And will their devalued currency increase inflation? Could be interesting. We've been having fairly decent real estate data coming out as of late. So maybe durable good orders will come in better than expected. And then, of course, new home sales. Think of it, if you're a builder and you're building a new home, you need to put new appliances in it, right? Pretty simple. And some Kiwi trade balance. Well, if you want to trade Kiwi, I'm sure you'll find a reason to get in. German GDP, always interesting. Again, Germany is one of the largest exporting nations in the world. So the health of their economy is important, not just for global macroeconomics, but in particular to the Eurozone. German IFO on Thursday, that could be interesting. And Japanese CPI. But the big question is, what's CPI? And the worse this data is, the better, because then it will force the Bank of Japan to do something good. So the worser, the gooder, if that makes sense. GDP out of the UK, GDP out of the United States, and Baker Hughes rig count on Friday. Yeah! Cool. Kiwi dollar FX? Yeah. Well, I'm a little bit under the weather today. I don't know if you can tell. But I'm holding it together. So I apologize that I'm not at full A game today, but again, I hope you appreciate that I'm always here for you no matter what. Okay? That's it. I'm here for you no matter what. So we usually take about 45 minutes to get through that calendar, and I burn through it in about 6 minutes. So we're half done. Oh, wait! Don't make me laugh. Oh my God. Don't make me laugh. Shh. Oh, that hurts so much. All right. Let's see what we got going on in the world, technically speaking. This is something I call PISSY, which is the pound Swissy. Now, I've asked a few times whether you guys are trading pound Swissy, and I've been getting no's. So, I don't know. I thought we should talk about it. So here's a little trade going off the bottom. Counter trend trade, which means you either jam the stop at break even and just walk away and never get involved emotionally, or you just trade it up to the next level of resistance, right? Look for some clusters maybe and take your profit. And I have that as here. Okay. I might have to adjust that a little bit lower, but that didn't exist on Friday. You know what I'm talking about? So anyways, don't turn your back on a good trade. See, the Swiss franc is another funding risk on, risk off currency. So in a good world, if all these yens suddenly weaken, I mean, it's plausible. Unlikely, but plausible, right? That's why we're here. Imagine you're in every yen pair. Well, getting into the next cycle of yen pairs, all you're doing is doubling your risk. What if you were long every yen pair and then long every Swiss pair? You know what I mean? A little more diversification, even though technically, or let's say fundamentally, it's the same trade. You're betting on all the horses. Okay. As you know, our trade plan here, I think I had $50.13 as the top. It only went to $49.40. Sorry. But our plan was to buy it up again from the bottom and then bring it all the way back down. It's amazing how these things, right, happen. And you know what else is interesting? When you're listening to the news, they have all these amazing reasons why it's happening, of course, after the fact, not before the fact. Oh, it's this and it's that, and it's, oh, the OPEC meeting, and it's how silly. So anyways, it bounced at 40 because it's 40. It was rejected at 50 because it's 50. Nothing else has changed on OPEC. Supply and demand hasn't changed. Fundamentals haven't changed. So anyways. Life is great. Life is grand. Life is good. So last week, this was a lame this was a lame daily 21, I think, on the S&P 500. We're hoping that it holds, and it's quite flat, so it wouldn't predict a skyrocketing stock market. But we're in a little bit of a challenge here, aren't we? So right now, range bound, because we're not making higher highs and we're not making lower lows. Okay. So you got to be careful. This could be rolling over. Okay. Now, really, what's supposed to happen this third week is over the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks, let's say between now and non-farm payrolls, the market should come back. And if the market wants to end the year with a Santa Claus rally, then they need to start in the next 3 weeks. Does that make sense? Hope it does, yeah. So it's just human nature. Market's a little thin, but at least it's not dropping like a ton of bricks. I mean, yeah, it's not going up, but it ain't crashing either, right? And so we got to be thankful for that. Little pivot cluster down here could be helpful. Right. But none of this looks really good right now. So just pray that this is the thing that holds. If we go lower than this, it'll probably go down to monthly support and reset off there. But let's just pretend that's not going to happen. Okay. Why is gold stalled out? I'll give you a hint. I told you already. It's a good hint. Not today, but we have discussed it. Well, at midnight tonight, maybe the Bank of Japan wants to get rid of their negative interest rates. Gold crashes. The reason for that is raising interest rates to zero, which is really what it would be, makes gold look less attractive. And when you're negative, zero is higher. It's still raising interest rates. Interest rates are still going up. And that should make gold look less attractive. And what I've offered you, what I've offered you in the past is that this is negative interest rates coming up here. Now, if you were hanging with me, and you may not even believe it, but if you were hanging with me 1 or 2 or 3 years ago, our target for gold, even way up here, and then the drop here, and then the drop here, and all that kind of stuff, our target was somewhere, I didn't have a specific target, I said somewhere between 1,000 and 1,100. Way up here. And I gave the reason. It's just psychological. There's no, again, supply or demand issues that would make that the logical price. Purely emotion. And it came down to 1050, which is exactly somewhere between 1,100 and 1,000. Just amazing. Just funny, really. So remember, when we're talking about a lot of these trades, there's a human element that I think a lot of amateur traders forget about. Han says, I mean, does interest rates at zero give any other option for those invest in gold now? Well, the problem with gold, and I mean holding physical gold, not gold futures, right? That's what poor people do. Um, then there's a carrying cost to having physical gold. And it makes gold expensive. FX Ambassador says storage too. Well, that's part of a carrying cost. Yes, that would be considered a carrying cost. The cost of physically holding gold, and there's storage and security. And then when you do want to convert your gold, because remember, it's not. Is anybody in the fundamentals course? If so, you'd know that it's not M1 money, it's not M2 money. It's kind of like M3 money, and it's close to money, but you still need to convert it. It's not completely liquid. So you can't go to the grocery store with an ingot of gold and say, give me some eggs, give me some milk, give me, right, give me some diapers, and here's my ingot. So you still have to go to like a dealer, and there's gonna be a spread on the spot price and his dealer price because he wants to make money, and it's not completely liquid. You could do it, but there's going to be costs to it, right? Where cash is cash. Right? So money is a unit of account, a store of value, and a medium of exchange. And so you can go in with $100 bill, buy those things that you need, and then they give you change. How nice is that? You know, Pippi Long, um, when I was in South Africa recently, um, some people at least, were very interested in Bitcoin, and we're actively doing things with Bitcoin. And I always thought that was so like 3 years ago. I'm like, really? But I'm not poo-pooing it because I come from a part of the world where you have a bank. And the bank is safe, and the bank is regulated, and my money is protected. And I have a legal system and a rule of law and all that kind of stuff. Then I park my money in the bank, and then I can go around with my credit cards and I can buy things and I can hook up to PayPal, and PayPal doesn't say, oh my God, you're from America. Oh my God, we can't deal with you, right? And then there are others, let's say South Africa, where maybe banks are not exactly the same. And there are other concerns that the locals have, and maybe an alternative is something more interesting. So I'm interested in like an academic way in things like these cryptocurrencies, but it's not the same. You can't count a Bitcoin to be the same as a US dollar. Right? So it would be an alternative to holding money, but it wouldn't be money. Okay? But yeah, Lionel's very interested, but in all that kind of stuff. Another interesting one is how Africans in the much poorer countries of Africa use cell phone minutes as currency, and that's also very interesting. So anyways, it's not money. right? So, for example, money is backed up by the faith of the U.S. government. The Fed can print money and give you money back. It might be worthless, but they can do it. Or the U.S. government could also just raise taxes. A cryptocurrency can't do something like that. So, I don't know. I'm not. So I guess what I'm saying is, it's an interesting academic discussion. I don't need something like that, so I shouldn't claim to be an expert. But I understand that it an alternative in other parts of the world is very much needed or wanted. So, you know, um, if I didn't have 12 books on my desk here that I need to read in the next 12 weeks, then maybe I'd research more, but I'm really not that interested at the moment. So yeah, hey, why don't you do what I do? Turn 40 and go back to university. Yay! Some really interesting books, though. Ah, yeah, Pippi Long. My currency, yeah, my university's Google. Well, yeah, you don't even really need a university anymore, right? Is what you're saying. But if you were going to go to university, it better have a name that would open doors for you, right? That's pretty much the only reason to do it, right? Also, your professors tend to be really good when you're at a very, very good university. You know, a friend of mine in the 90s was going to a university at Georgetown, which is Washington, D.C., and he was taking a class. I think it was international business. And Madeleine Albright, I think either former or soon to be Secretary of State for the United States, taught the class. And like, how cool. So that's the kind of stuff you pay for, right? Yeah, so Pippi Long, I'll just go to school and get smart, and then I'll share what I learn with you, and you basically go to Harvard for free. Cool. Sounds good. All right. I was complaining though. My classes are too hard. I don't know how I'm going to do it. It's stupid. I mean, it's stupid. The amount of work. It's just like, that's just stupid. But I'll get through it. Pippi Long says, so you're essentially paying for networking? Except I don't need to meet anybody, right? I don't want to meet anybody. Why would I? But, I'm an only child from from Canada, from a household of, brought up by a single parent. So figure if I go to Harvard, maybe my mommy and daddy will love me more. I don't know. All right. So, anyways, we're running out of steam here, or maybe I'm running out of steam here. Um, there might be a pig dog going on. Maybe we can end with that one. Canada. All right. What is this daily? All right. I wanted to show you something on here. Hang on. Life is great. Life is grand. Life is good. I was looking at this. Is this a zone? That's last week's sell zone. Here we go. Okay, but whatever. Did you notice this? If you're a bull, right? And once again, I'm not saying you should be, but if you are, and that's for you to decide, then your buy zone is somewhere between M2 and weekly central. So you double bottom on weekly central and then make a higher high. So now, if you're a bull, there's your safe entry. And you want to know how to know you're wrong? Price makes a lower low and you're out. Quit your crying. But if this is right, your target's going to be WR2 because you're kicking off the weekly instead of M2. Okay? So your plan here is back down to the roll reversal. Secret word is hammock. And that's how you see the week. There'll be some up to the R and then down and then up again, but you know what I mean. Pippi, your parents are newfies? Yeah. Well, it depends. Okay, here you see WM2, weekly midpoint pivot. So to calculate this, you look at the weekly central, weekly support 1, divide by 2, the midpoint is right here. That's all. So weekly midpoint 2 to weekly, and this is weekly midpoint 4. Then there's like MS1, that would be monthly support 1. Okay, but these are weekly pivots. Okay. Uh-oh, emergency economic measures being called for in Nigeria. Are we having another petroleum state where the country should just be fabulously successful because of its natural resources and because the government reinvests back into infrastructure and society in an equal and just way without crony capitalism or pig dog socialism? Instead, they run their free money into the ground. It's really sad. I don't understand. It makes me a little bit mad how you could have natural resources which provide you with basically unlimited amounts of money, and your society is utter chaos and madness. It's just really, really stupid. Makes me mad. And you know, all right, so it's happening in Nigeria. All right, well, Angola is not much better, right? Venezuela, Russia even, so on and so forth. It's like, wow. So if you want to study something, you should study what the Norwegians did when they found that they had a lot of oil in the North Sea. They did an amazing job to avoid what's called the Dutch disease. How about South Africa? I don't know anything in that case. I mean, about South Africa. But so I look at Norway as an example of what to do right. They did things like they took all their revenue. Think of this, guys. They took all the revenue from oil, all of it, and invested it in the stock market. This created a sovereign wealth fund. And I think by law, if the government needs to tap into that oil money, to, let's say they're having a bad economy at the moment, which is probably the case, they need to tap into some of that money. No more than 3% of their budget is allowed to come from that oil money. 3% maximum, only in like emergency situations. What percentage do you think Angola and Nigeria and Venezuela? It's probably 130%. They spend more money than they get. It's just amazing, the difference, huh? Too bad, so sad. Yeah, I don't think they let Canadians do such things. All right, guys. Well, I'm a little bit exhausted. I do apologize for being less than 100% because I like to show up and give you more than 100%, whatever that means. I think good technical and fundamental analysis with a little bit of joy and happiness. So hopefully it was better than nothing. But I've always told you that I'm here for you no matter what. Even if it's a rainy day, you're never alone. So, hang on. So peace on earth. may the pips be with man. I can't even say it. Peace on earth. May the pips be with you. May your profits be above average. And I will see you tomorrow. Cheers.